Welcome to the Japan Current Symposium 2026. We are for very timely topic of innovation, growth, urbanization, and globalization in the U.S.-Japan partnership. It's a perfect timing to talk about Texas-Japan economic and business relations. I think that you have heard something from the Supreme Court today, this morning. Also, new Prime Minister Takaichi, after winning the election, she made a speech at the Diet the other day after announcing so-called Takaichi 2.0. And then she has, her party has now supermajority in the Diet. So that's actually new, interesting dynamic, especially interesting while other countries, democratic countries, usually ruling party have been doing not very well or doing poorly usually. So we have a lot of things to talk about. So before starting, I'd like to acknowledge some of the people who are here without whom we cannot do this event. The first, so from the Japan Mental Society Dallas Fort Worth, the acting president, Mr. Grant Ogata. Also, our program manager from the Japan Society, Eli Hutch. Director of SMU Tower Center, Dr. Jim Holyfield. The chairman of the board of the Japan Society Dallas Fort Worth, Lawrence Horst. Also, our staff member of the SMU Tower Center, welcome to the SMU campus. Astrid is here. Vanessa. Also, those who are not here, but Ray and Ray, Molly, and also Courtney are helping us to make this happen. So I thank both the staff members of the SMU Tower Center and Japan Society Dallas Fort Worth. Now, please keep eating. So now I'd like to pass this microphone to Dr. Holyfield.
Well, I want to just echo my colleagues' warm welcome. I recognize a lot of faces around the room, some of our Tower Center members, and many of you I know are loyal members of the Japan American Society. And I have to say a special congratulations, thanks to Takeuchi Sensei. Maybe we should give him another round of applause. How about that? He has almost single-handedly resurrected very close ties, between SMU in particular and Japan. We have a fantastic program now at Kansai Gakuen University, and there are some of you in the room here, like my friend Nishitani Sensei, who is Nishitani-san, I should say. We'll make him a professor for the day. Let's thank him too. He has been a tremendous supporter of the of our program, and I know most of you in this room probably have an intense interest in all things Japanese. Some of you know I've been married to Japan for 50 years. My wife, who's sitting over here, Machiko-san. So I think we're in for a real treat today. I notice the Texas weather has cooled off just a little bit, feels a little more like February. But I hope some of you will have a chance to spend a little time on beautiful campus today. And I know we've got a few students here today that have a chance to talk with our students. And and faculty. So I think now I'm going to invite Grant Ogata to come to this podium. Mr. Ogata. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I know nobody wants to listen to me, so I'll make this real quick. I just want to thank the SMU Tower Center. Also, this event is sponsored by the National Association of Japan American Societies and the Embassy of Japan based in Washington, D.C. So thank you to those. And I'd like to also thank the speakers, Mikio Sugeno-san and Kristen, Chris, Russell, and Mike. I'm not going to, you'll get to know them later, so I won't go into that. But thank you all for coming. I just want to plug a couple of other events that's coming up with Japan American Society of Dallas-Fort Worth. March 19th, we have a celebrating successful career women event with we will also talk a little bit about Sanai. You'll hear a lot about what happened in the election, but Takeichi Sensei will also share her interesting background that she has. Along with that, we have 4 very interesting and successful women that will be talking about how they overcame cultural and institutional barriers to advance their careers. So it should be a very interesting evening on the 19th of March. And then after that is on April 15th is our Sun and Star Legacy Award Dinner. That's our biggest event of the year in terms of fundraising and gathering of executives from many companies. We're expecting like 500-600 people. And this year we'll be presenting our governor, Greg Abbott, with the Legacy Award Award, as well as we have another award called Bridges to Friendship. We'll be going to Amy Hoffland of Crow Museum of Asian Art. So please try to attend those interesting events, and thank you all again. Now I'd like to introduce Lawrence Holworth, the chair of Japan American Society of Dallas-Fort Worth.
All right, well, I'm just going to give a real quick welcome. Thank you for the support. I echo Grant's comments. We've got some great events coming up, but this event is an annual one. We've always had great support from SMU Tower Center. And so, again, thank you. I'm not going to spend much time, but I hope to see you in some of our upcoming events next couple of months. And enjoy your meal and enjoy. We've got some great speakers today, so enjoy. Thank you.
Well, as Grant and Lawrence introduced Japan Society Dallas-Fort Worth events, also next event of the Tower Center is next Thursday. We are going to have a one-day conference on the Middle East, and something interesting is going on, I think, in the Middle East. Our Tower Center's mission is connecting public interests with academic insights. So we keep working on that for that mission. Please enjoy the meal. We will start the keynote remarks around 12:30. So enjoy the meal. Oh, one more thing, sorry. So today's event is live streamed through Zoom, and to all the people who are registered through a National Association of Japan Societies. So we have So those who are online, thank you for joining us. I'm sure today's topic will be very interesting. And then we will have a kind of, for those who are online, we will be in a break for 15 minutes as we are having lunch here. So thank you. Thank you for joining us. Now, I'm delighted to introduce today's keynote speaker. But before that, I'd like to acknowledge our Honorary Consul General of Japan in Dallas, Dr. Sam Shichijo. We had so Japan had so Japan's emperor's birthday would be tomorrow, and Japanese Consulate General of Japan in Houston had a reception yesterday. So Dr. Shichijo just came back from Houston. Thank you for joining us. So I'm delighted to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Mikio Sugeno of the Nikkei. I hope I think many of you know what the Nikkei is. That's the Japanese newspaper, leading newspaper, Japanese version of kind of Financial Times and Wall Street Journal. Nikkei is very important nowadays. And if I have to pick up the best newspaper in the world, I would pick up the Nikkei. Well, the reason is, so for a long time, I remember in the 1980s when I grew up, when I was a child, my parents always told me that U.S. media is very high level. Compared with that, the Japanese news media is not so much. But now, so Nikkei and Japanese media in general has improved a lot. At the same time, unfortunately, U.S. media especially last 10 years or so, has been very busy to report political news for good reasons. Especially since President Trump became a president in 2016 and then 2017, he actually issues a lot of information, right? So, and then to me, like U.S. media has been very busy to report American political news. And that makes sense because Trump is a president, and then president issues a lot of information. That's actually media has to report it. Foreign media, including Nikkei and Japanese media, has advantage that because they cannot just report American news, right? So, and then Nikkei has a long history of a good reputation of reporting the news of Asia. And then I think when Nikkei kind of became a parental company of the Financial Times, it's 11 years ago. So 11 years ago, Nikkei also became a parental company of Financial Times. So now Nikkei and Financial Times are together. And so it improved actually the quality of the report of Europe and Africa, as well as the Middle East. So now Nikkei has a very good report from all over the world. So of course from Japan, and then Asia, and then Europe, and also North and South Americas. And then there are quite a few great writers whose columns, whose writings I have been enjoying and learning a lot from. And Mr. Mikio Sugeno has been always one of them, one of the best ones. And I have been learning a lot from him. And so when I had an opportunity to meet him at the, I think the Japan Current Symposium of Japan to Society, Washington, D.C., several years ago. And then, so we had, I was very happy to have an opportunity to meet Mr. Sugeno. And then since then, we have met every time we meet, like we had a great conversation. I learned a lot from him. He's an expert of economy and business originally, as well as that he has been staying in Berlin, London, and Washington, D.C. So he's a specialist of international economy as well as Japanese economy. And then a lot of interesting things are going on in Japan now, and then it's very important for U.S.-Japan relations. Please join me for welcoming Mr. Mikio Sugeno.
Okay. Well, Mr. Grant Ogata, Mr. Lawrence B. Horwath from the Japan-America Society in Dallas-Fort Worth, and Dr. James Holyfield from the Tower Center of the SMU, and members and the staffs of the both organizations and all audiences joining in this session, both here in the room and online. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Mikio Sugeno. I'm a chair of the editorial board at Nikkei. I'm really honored to be here in Dallas as the keynote speaker at this Japan Current Symposium, thanks to his kind invitation from Dr. Hiroki Takeuchi, associate professor of the political science, SMU. Thank you so much, Hiroki-san, and thank you so much for your very, very, very kind introduction. Thank you. Both of me and Nikkei. Thank you so much. You are so informed. Nikkei has today, this year, Nikkei has the 150th anniversary from the foundation, while the USA is celebrating the 250 years. So I'm very happy to be here again. So I'm quite sure that Japanese people's eyes will be fixed in June this year on Dallas. But what the reason? At the FIFA World Cup 2026, Samurai Japan, which is Japan national soccer team, will play two highly anticipated matches here at this group stage here in Dallas. And Dallas, namely on the Dallas Stadium, is not so familiar because it is normally called as AT&T Arena, I would say. So, but FIFA doesn't allow to use such kind of company name, so you have to call it as it is. So Dallas Stadium. And the Japanese team will play game one with Netherlands on June 14th. You can take a note, please. And the game three on 25th with team to be determined by the playoff in Europe. Is still ongoing. So that means the our team's destiny will be decided here in this city. When I was the Berlin Correspondent Chief in 2006, the Football World Cup took place in Germany. I traveled to venues across the country as a reporter, and I was impressed by the fact that how spectators and the local people were highly, highly excited. And I'm quite sure there will be huge excitement here. Although for the normal Americans, football is not so familiar than baseball, basketball, or American football. But so I'm quite sure to see such a kind of scene. And I'm thrilled to see that. maybe in Japan. Unfortunately, not in Dallas. I would love to, but I'm not sure. So thank you. And I'd like to introduce myself. So sorry, that's fine. Yeah, as Takeuchi-san kindly introduced, that I'm covering mainly as economic news, and then I joined the Nikkei in 1987 and covered economic news about Ministry of Finance, Bank of Japan, Keidanren, etc., etc. And then I had a chance to have the experience as a foreign correspondent. And from 2003 onward, I was stationed in Berlin for a total of 5 years and in London for 2 years. From 2018 to 2022, I spent 4 years as Washington Bureau Chief, witnessing every day of President Trump's radical policies during his first time. So these include the trade war with China, Black Lives Matter movement, the turmoils over masks and vaccines, and amid the COVID-19 pandemics, and the January 6th insurrection at the US Capitol. Yeah, you can well remember that then, of course. Even Joe Biden, who won the 2020 presidential election, which I covered, failed to heal the division in the United States. But now, dramatic changes are occurring that exceed the impact of those times. The trade war has engulfed allies and democracies alike, and heavy-handed enforcement, including military and the ICE, has been openly deployed to maintain domestic security. And democracy has suffered even more, and we live in a world where force may be going to become the foundation of an international order, unfortunately. So while entire world shrouded in uncertainty and anxiety, the unexpected news came from Japan. The Liberal Democratic Party, led by Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi, made a historic landslide victory in Japan's House of Representatives snap election on the 8th of this month. Together with her coalition partner, the Japan not Restoration Party, but Japan Renovation Party, or Nihon Ishin no Kai, the Prime Minister secured an unprecedented ultra super majority that is over 3/4 of the 465 seats in the House. This victory also signed voters' support for Takaichi's economic policies known as Sanaenomics. This economic policy, Sanaenomics, modeled on the Abenomics policies of her mentor, the late Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who unfortunately passed away, emphasizes economics. Thanks to this invitation to Dallas, I visited Washington, D.C. before arriving here. Over the course of several days, at the beginning of this week, I had the opportunity to exchange views with prominent people, including Ambassador Shigeo Yamada, senior diplomats from the Japanese embassy, senior officials from the U.S. Treasury Department and the U.S. Trade representatives, and an investor. In my speech today, partly based on the finding of this visit, I would like to discuss the factors behind Takaichi's landslide victory, such as the transformations in Japanese society that led to it, and how politics, economics, and diplomacy will progress in Japan under Takaichi's overwhelming majority. She is scheduled to visit the United States next month, as you know. How should Japan deal with the Trump administration further? And how should Japan-US cooperation develop in a rapidly changing international environment? I hope my speech will help for you a bit to consider these points. So, why did Takaichi win by a landslide? I would like to point out 3 factors, but before that, I will show you that what is the outcome of the election. So on the outer side is before, and now is in the side. So before the election, Liberal Democratic Party and then coalition partner Kome were short of the majority by majority. But right now it's totally different. So 198 to 316. It's a huge increase. And then while the ruling party or the ruling coalition has gained such a majority and 3/4, this opposition party got the seats were plummet. Such a really remarkable outcome. So why did Takaichi win by a landslide? I say that again, I would like to point out 3 factors. First, her narratives as the first female prime minister in Japan struck a chord with the shimmering thirst for change among the Japanese people. Secondly, Takaichi's personal popularity, driven by a strategy of plodding along without laying out specific policies, was a success. And third, the opposition parties, caught off guard and self-destructing due to their lack of strategy, made a huge mistake. These 3 factors interacted, I think. So, on the day before the election, I headed to the campaign speech venue in front of a JR, Japan Railway Station, in a closely contested constituency. It was a very cold Saturday evening, and I arrived more than 30 minutes early to find an incredibly long line of people that already waiting for security checks. So police officers repeatedly yelled, "Even if you line up here, you won't be allowed into the booth." Despite of that, the people are waiting. And I gave up on waiting in line and headed to the back of the venue. And at last, I could get a glimpse of Takaichi. Here's the Takaichi. Takaichi-sana is in kanji letters. And she's here. That's a nice photo, isn't it? Yeah. So look at the platform, please. Look at the platform. This is Asagaya Station. So full of people are there. They are not standing, not for the waiting for the commuter train, but to see Takaichi's appearance. That shows the kind of how Takaichi was popular, so popular. So I was succeeded to catch a glimpse of Takaichi as I show you, and services. Yeah. So well, on the basis, and elderly people are willing to vote. Yeah. And so who had the elderly voters had high voter turnout. But I also saw many people in their child rearing years and in 20s and 30s. So Takaichi's positive and aggressive image appealed to a generation consumed by worries about the future and declining take-home pay due to inflation. According to a survey to the company behind Senkyo.com, because the Senkyo means that an election, on an election website, the number of YouTube-related video views around the House of Representatives election reached 2.8 billion. 2.8 billion. That is a dramatic increase of 10 times. By 10 times the number seen in the previous election held approximately 1.5 years ago. Of these, those related to Takaichi Sanae accounted for 440 million, nearly a quarter of the total. And far surpassing any other politician for individual videos. Ordinary people and third parties spontaneously uploaded videos, not by the camp itself. So that means how the voters' enthusiasm is also high. And so they provided a powerful tailwind for the LDP. And Sanakatsu, there's a word, Sanakatsu, or fun activity for Sanae. Sanae is her first name. Became a buzzword referring to a popularity, the same brand of her handbags, which sold out in droves. This personal popularity reminds me of Otaka-san boom. So in the 90s, in the 1980s, Takako Doi, then leader of the Japan Socialist Party, and the Koizumi phenomenon, as you know, Junichiro Koizumi, in early 2000s. It could be called Reiwa era's version of a fandom election. Takaichi navigated the short-term election campaign with a truly ingenious, or to put it bluntly, cunning approach. Before the election, Takaichi declared that it was her fervent wish to reduce the consumption tax rate on food to 0 for 2 years, but she did not mention it at all during the election campaign, including this election. In election campaign speech, which made a heavy use of fluffy language and onomatopoeia, turned out very successful. And on the contrary, the opposition parties are clearly struggling. The merger of the centrist Kome and Constitutional Democratic Party. So I can show you that. Kome was, what is the Kome? Sorry. Centrist Reform Alliance. It is after the fusion of that. And the Kome Party and this opposition party has been major defeat. Despite the fact that these two parties merged into the Centrist Reform Alliance, but so they failed to get the momentum and end up at just a third seats, So that's a major blow for the opposition party. So here's the question. Will Takaichi become a game changer who rescues Japan from stagnation and leads a long-term government? Or will her policies backfire and she end up as a politician who can only create short-lived booms? I would say it's still too early to tell. If she can harness the mindset that has shifted from deflation to inflation and unleash the animal spirits and investment appetite of Japanese companies, the government and the private sector could work together to bring about change. If a stable government can move forward with the silver democracy to address the long untouched social security systems and the burden issues, things will move in a positive direction. We need to cherish the trend of young people participating in politics. So because of such a kind of popularity to Takaichi-san, and taking on interest in policy and participating in democracy. However, Takaichi's landslide victory does not mean she has a blank check. She simply won in impulse without discussing specific policies, as I said. If it's difficult to say she has yet acquired the deep political capital to catch up her strong execution skills. So considering the political forces, including those in the House of Councillors, Takaichi faces a significant challenge. As you can see that kind of lower house and upper house. Yeah. Well, the LDP under the leadership of the former Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba suffered a crushing defeat last July. And even the combined power of its then coalition partner, Komeito Party, and its current one, the Japan Innovation Party, so the Japan Innovation Party is the Nippon Ishin no Kai, still lacks a majority, so, as you can see there. So, because the House of Councillors cannot be dissolved like lower house, unless the LDP brings other parties into the coalition, the minority government will remain in power for more than 2 years. So communicating with the financial markets, which are showing two polar opposite reactions, is also extremely difficult task. Under the Takaichi trade, the stock market is showing expectation for the Prime Minister's proactive fiscal policy with a rapid rise in stock prices. This is a Nikkei stock average from the September and the 40,000 in the, today we have the, close to 60,000. So, but it's a mixed picture there. The yen has fallen and bond prices are at low levels, leading to rising interest rates. The market is reacting with a mixture of hope and concern. Concerns are growing that excessive fiscal policy will drive down the value of the yen and the Japanese government bonds. This unprecedented move is attracting attention among the market participants. Just today, the 20th, half a day earlier due to the time difference, Prime Minister Takaichi delivered her first post-election policy speech in the Diet, as Takeuchi-san said. She began her speech with the campaign phrase, "Make the Japanese archipelago strong and prosperous." Archipelago. But the Prime Minister's office website even explicitly mentioned the word archipelago. So perhaps she was conscious that her message encompassed not only the major cities, but also rural areas. She repeated 5 times that she would push the button for growth to express her stickiness. At the beginning of her tenure, and the first press conference, she said that 私は働いてまいります。I'm work 5 times. And it was one of the popular, the most word in 2025. And this was a really kind of award-winning word. That's interesting. This is 5 times is a key, you know. So the central element of the plan is her plan, Sanaenomics, responsible and proactive fiscal policy. It calls for the creation of 17 strategic areas and the allocation of a budget for proactive investment under the pretext of crisis management, among other things, to stimulate private investment. However, even here, there are dangers. The definition of responsibility is unclear. While Japan's first female finance minister Satsuki Katayama explained at the Davos Forum that the term proactive fiscal policy is strategic, not expansive. The market still seems to have the impression of it being expansionary. It remains to be seen what kind of restraints will actually be put in place to maintain fiscal discipline and whether the government is determined not to leave future generations with a huge debt burden. A weekend lead to soaring import prices, accelerating inflation, which is now one of the biggest complaints among the public. A weakening currency undermines the credibility of government bonds as well. This week, the Federal Reserve acknowledged that in late January, at the direction of the Treasury Department, it conducted the rate check, so-called, in the foreign exchange market, in which officials inquired about exchange rate levels with the market participants. This led to a rapid reversal of the yen's depreciation and the dollar's appreciation due to the speculation of the intervention in the forex markets, and the market regained its composure. An excessive fall in the yen value could have destabilized the market and disrupted confidence in not only Japanese, but also US bonds. This visit to DC made me realize that the US authorities must have thought that such kind of things after my personal exchange. So, as listed above, important events continue to unfold the Takaichi administration and Sanaenomics. As I said, on March 19th, Prime Minister will meet President Trump in Washington. Ahead of Trump's visit to China in April, the Japanese government is keen to align its stance towards China to prevent Trump from too dovish posture. Takaichi stays reportedly extremely short, apparently due to the desire to move budget deliberations forward as quickly as possible. So the process of giving Sanaenomics to a concrete shape will begin as summer approaches. That is a revision of the formulation of basic economic and fiscal policy. This is a kind of plan. So, and with the APEC summit in the fall and November, namely, is approaching, another key issue is whether a meeting with Xi Jinping can be held to improve the frosty Japan-China relationship. So, by the way, this week, the Japanese and US governments announced 3 projects that are in the first part of the previously agreed upon $550 billion investment in the United States. The investments in Ohio, so Georgia, and here in Texas suggest a common purpose. All of these are key key states likely to be toss-ups in the midterm elections. Even here in Texas, there are developments that could erode the Republican Party's dominance, as you all know. So I will read Nikkei's description. Texas, a southern state, is also a Republican stronghold, but in a special election for the state Senate at the end of January, a Democratic candidate upset the seat, winning it for the first time in decades. A Japanese government official said the series of cases is obviously being selected with an election in mind. So in addition to the midterm elections, President Trump is also reportedly concerned about the Supreme Court's ruling that his tariffs policy are unconstitutional. And we have just gotten the breaking news about the court's rejection of Trump tariffs under the International Emergency Economy Powers Act, IEEPA. A Nikkei editorial pointed out beforehand about this program after the announcement of the project that large-scale investment in the United States requires mutual benefits and discipline. Unless it is truly a win-win, it will not happen. Japan-U.S. cooperation, and this is somewhat pick up of the Japan-U.S. cooperation is important in terms of economic security, but concerns remain about providing huge amounts of funding at the U.S.'s request. And second one, the Takaichi administration also places importance on domestic investment. So allocating huge amounts of capital to the U.S. at this time seems congruous. So that is our opinion. So what's the mood like in the Japanese business? And according to the Japan Bank for International Cooperation, JBIC's global landscape of overseas business expansion survey, the United States was more frequently cited as a destination for strengthening or expanding overseas business, with 51% choosing 2025, up from 49% the previous year. Furthermore, this slide showed, when asked which country is the most promising for business expansion over the next 3 years or so, the United States ranked second in 2025 after India. So this is a interesting outcome of that case. Even among small and medium-sized enterprises, SME, there is a strong appetite for investment in the United States. The result may be somewhat surprising to many. Under Trump's America First policy, increasing business dependence on the United States, given high level of uncertainty surrounding tariff policies and the conflict with China, seems risky. However, the size of the major market, the high growth potential, and the strengths in Silicon Valley and other areas such as tech and AI appear to offset these negative factors in terms of investment appeal. It seems reasonable to assume that the industry relying on American competitiveness remain eager to expand into the United States. The question is whether this momentum can be maintained and further strengthened. The key to this strengthening cooperation with a focus on regions and generations. At the end of last November, following the conclusion of the UN climate change conference at the Paris' so-called COP30 held in Brazil, our editorial pointed out that international cooperation on decarbonization, not just at the national level, but also among local governments will become increasingly important. While it's true that no representative from the US Trump administration were present at the COP meeting, we could also read this as our editorial. There are some encouraging signs, quote, states and cities like California, New York City, and Tokyo are enthusiastic about decarbonization. So they are keen to foster collaboration among local governments around the world, quote end. Perhaps Japan and the United States can overcome political divisions and explore broader and deeper cooperation in such a channel. So regarding the deepening Japan-US cooperation, there is some concerning data. While this is a global trend, the number of Japanese students studying in the United States is expected to fall by nearly 10% in 2025 compared to the previous year. With only 1/10 of Chinese students, so looking around, yeah, so that's a huge difference, yeah. So, yeah, so it may be difficult to see that trend improving again. So we need to properly establish sources of grassroots exchange. And the day before I left for Washington, I met with Joshua Walker, who is president of the Japan Society, who was visiting Tokyo from New York the day before my departure. Having grown up in Hokkaido, Joshua argues that viewing Japan-US relations as a merely Tokyo-Washington relationships is a major mistake. And that regional level exchanges are crucial. I believe Texas is certainly the most important base for this. He recently published a book, Japan titles Alliance or at the Crossroads, the Dome no Tenki. It was published by the Nikkei BP, by the way. So I have not intended to promote this book here, but it does point out many important elements relevant to this symposium. As examples of success, he mentions Toyota Motor Corporation's bipartisan relationship building and Daikin industry development of the technology park and a baseball stadium called Daikin Park in Texas, but unfortunately Houston this way. Sorry. He also singled out Japan-America societies in Dallas and Houston as clear examples of well-established grassroots Japan-US exchange. And it said that both associations succeeded in transforming the Southern American areas, which had once been considered even the remote region of the exchange between America and Asia, into the central point of contact for cultural diplomacy and business. That's my translation. It may be wrong, but I have heard that Ambassador Yamada has reportedly emphasized the importance of grassroots exchange to embassy and consulate staff, including the Japanese embassy's support for this event. I'm so thankful for this support. It was particularly memorable to have the opportunity to speak with these two important persons just before my visit and speech here. There's no doubt that the United States is Japan's one and only ally. But is Japan responding with sufficient awareness and steadfastness to the shifting international order? That's the question. And is it really okay to rely solely on America in order, and is an order with under Trump's threat? So, and we, the ones most nostalgic for the days when the United States held hegemony. Trump may be paying lip service, but will he resolutely stand by Japan's side against China? Quote end. that was Seiko Mimaki, professor at Dosha University, expresses doubts to my interview. So, in sum, Japan-US cooperation also needs to be updated to reflect new realities. I sincerely hope that Dallas will be a frontrunner in this effort, becoming a base for building an even deeper relationship with Japan. I also hope that it will become a holy ground where Samurai Japan coach Hajime Moriyasu, who has publicly stated that his goal is winning the World Cup, can gain momentum toward realizing his dream. Thank you for listening. I look forward to having candid discussion with the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for finishing with a very positive tone for both US and Japan. Yeah, I have several questions, but I will not ask those questions, and I would like to open to the discussion with the floor. So who wants to start? Yeah. Please identify yourself, and then also for the purpose of streaming, please wait for the microphone. Yeah, please.
Hi, I'm Jason Teskey. I'm an AI researcher at George Washington, but I also do collaboration here with the Cyber Institute at SMU, along with Daryl Young here, who's a research professor there. But I do have a background in international affairs and economics, and spent billions in Japan of other people's money for foreign direct investment and defense enablement, defense offset. Do you think the U.S. is still a high investment target, just as a de facto escalating commitment in their large holding of euro dollars, paying in excess of 1.2 trillion and climbing? Is that a de facto, if you already have a large stake in that position, that you long-term commitment for investing and continued investment in America because you already have a lot of money already here? Japan on the whole, do you see that as part of one of the motivating forces versus emerging markets like India, which have higher potential for growth, obviously by the percentages that you presented?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your questions. Yeah, this is a really good question. If the U.S. is Japan's major target for the investment, as I said in a speech, it will highly depend on the kind of position of the U.S. government, not taking any pressure, too much pressure on the Japanese companies to have such a kind of huge investment, risky investment. And I heard from the Japanese senior official that Japan cannot invest in the projects without the prospect of the profit. So this is a really business-like approach, and that's won't change even if the Trump takes power and take the pressure on that. So because we have the shareholders, and of course, and you cannot invest in such a risky investment target. But so as I said again, so there are lots of prosperous, I can say, prosperous future, I would say. So investing in United States, it's still at one of the biggest market, and so productivity and growth, its momentum is still on the way. So in sum, and the U.S. will remain one of the most important object to invest. But of course, this is a counterbalance maybe between or among vis-a-vis India and China. And then in this sense, it is crucial to see that how the investment or how the relationship with the China will turn out. So as we've seen in the European companies and countries are paying more attention to the Chinese market for investment and very recently. So it's a really matter of the accounting balancing. And I cannot say that, but yes, it is a very, very good question. Thank you so much.
And then just a Dallas specific plug. If they're going to have a stock exchange based in Dallas, is there any possible foreign direct investment with Japan that could be a catalyst for that through different types of investment vehicles?
You mean to say direct investment in here or in Japan?
Yeah, in Texas, they're going to have an exchange. So that offers financial liquidity and maybe direct exchange to Japanese markets through other kinds of vehicles, financial vehicles. So I don't know if there's anything promising. If we could get that in place before the World Cup game, maybe that could be more speculative.
Well, I think in the financial industry, in the Japanese finance industry, have to look for the source of the profit, their profit, and they have to find out new sources of the profit. And I suppose that this business with Texas will be one of the candidates. And then I have a positive view. Thank you.
We are going a little bit over time, so please.
Yeah, thank you very much. So first of all, thank you for your remarks. Helmut Ludwig, I teach at the business school, and I'm on the board of Hitachi Limited in Tokyo. I'm wondering about the 550 billion package you spoke about, the investment promise. How can Japanese companies really take advantage of it? Because as you also know, the package includes a lot of local content here in the US. Can you shed a little bit more light on this, please? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm not the specialist on this particular investment program, but in some, there's a kind of it's an outcome from the huge pressure from the U.S. side to decide on that because otherwise Trump will get angry, and then there will be a higher tariffs probably. And then to avoid that, you have to have earlier conclusion. And well, I suppose some of or many of the Japanese companies, CEOs, management, somewhat doubtful about that, what the outcome is. But you have to find out, and with the help of the JBIC or some financial assistance, they have to count on. And then probably on the background, there might be some thoughts among such CEOs to have to maintain the relationship with the US as good as possible. And then, okay, you cannot predict what's going on after the Trump will step down. Then, so it's a kind of some kind of bets, but it's a clear, can I say, red line. I say it's an unprofitable project cannot be invested. Sorry, thank you.
Any other question? Yeah, that's right.
Hi, I'm Will Botfield. I'm a freshman at SMU studying economics and Japanese. And I was just wondering what you think the biggest US-Japanese collaboration markets will be for the future and how a young student like me can prepare for that.
You mean say it's a kind of what kind of areas or?
Yeah, what collaboration between US and Japanese markets you believe will be upcoming?
Yeah, this is a really good question, and maybe you can find out a better answer than I. Probably, because the transformation of the industrial, can I say, competitiveness is dramatically changing, and I said that 17 strategic areas, and this includes like shipbuilding or security related industries. But otherwise, it's a kind of software and anime or such like that. And this element will play a role in certainly certain huge can I say proportion. So you can find out these new areas, not to stick to the sort of old thinking like us, like me. So I highly expect that you can find out that's a good source. Thank you.
Also, I highly recommend you to apply to SMU in Japan program at the Kansai University in the summer program. And that's actually a great program, especially that has a lot of excursions to business sites. And thanks to the cooperation from Oryx USA, Japan Airlines, Yamanaka Shipbuilding. So we are going to shipyard, as well as Mazda and Toyota. So highly recommended. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I described my.
Sure.
Dan Sinwat here, founder and CEO of AI Connects and VC Arena. I'm also on the board of Japan America Society of DFW. From a venture capital standpoint, we've been seeing a lot of investment from Japan. And you can see on the TV, SoftBank invests a lot with OpenAI, etc. Right? So I just wanted to hear, overall, because from the ground, we get a lot of LP investor from Japan interested in putting their money here in the US. But overall, what do you think from a tech investment standpoint? Japanese tech investment, is it moving a lot to here overall? I don't know. I just wanted to ask you.
Okay, thank you. Well, it's related to the dramatic circumstances for the Japanese business, which is from the deflation era to inflation era. And you can stand on it. So if you keep your money or cash on a company, so otherwise, then you cannot get the growth. You have to take a growth under such a with the interest rate circumstance. So it means that they will take the riskier or take bigger risks to such a kind of thing. Like venture capital or in the US. But so in some, they have the potential, but the question is how good, how nice to the Japanese companies to find out such a kind of a target of the investment. And I'm not quite sure if in this sense Japanese company is really successful or enough ambitious. You can work on that probably much more harder, and then you can get money.
Okay, I saw the hands first there, so I would like to take it, and then actually I would like take both questions. So somebody at the back, yeah. So please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anna Lee. I'm from Aishin, one of the Japanese automotive company. I come here because I want to make more connection with Japan. I live in Japan for 2 years, and I love country still. So I hope to contribute more in the future. So one of the questions I asked for the keynote speaker today, I'm very interested in what you present. There was one chart about Takaichi trade show concern in the market. If you can open back one more time.
Dynamics or sorry, that's it. Stock market. Yeah.
Yes.
Stock market.
Yeah, it's about stock market. So in very short amount of time, you can see the market reaction like that. So can you explain a little bit more key driving factor, what driving the market that way, and what impact Japan economy has, and what industry benefit from it, and what industry maybe not got benefit from it? Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so the main driver of the this stock price rise, that's of course I can say, optimism among the such a kind of stock market people, And then there's whereas the debt market people are so really pessimistic among that. This is a really interesting discrepancy among that. And well, yeah, as I said before, there's lots of potential stems from the ample cash, which was unused by the company. So then the stock market participants are expecting that those monies are flowing in the stock market, and this creates a positive circumstance. And the second thing is, of course, it is relevant, highly relevant to the development of the U.S. stock market. This is really a kind of correlation, and then so this is also the factor. That means that if there's some kind of shocks stem from the artificial intelligence and so forth in United States, then we would see the kind of turmoil of the market. You have to be somewhat cautious. Thank you.
Okay, the last question.
My name is Victor Perry, and I'm the CEO of Longhorn International Motorsports Corporation. And my question is for the automotive industry and the collaboration with the U.S. and Japan, because most of in my industry, it's a collaboration, and I wanted your take on exactly how that collaboration looks now with technology, investment opportunities, and given the tariffs that are being imposed on, especially on our industry, as far as like chassis and the metal and things like that.
So it's exactly that you from which industry or what?
I'm from the motorsports industry. We're actually a racing company and a design company that designs sports cars. Yeah. So we design racing cars and
racing cars.
Yeah,
it's a wonderful job.
And we do a lot of business with Japan. So we do a lot of business with Japan. Love cars from Japan.
Yeah.
The sad part is that the autonomy and some of the designs that you guys have in Japan, we can't get it here. So a lot of the technology is left there. So my question is, how does that look in the future as far as collaboration of bringing some of that technology to the United States and investment opportunities for like companies like mine?
Thank you. This is again the question of the somewhat younger generation than mine. So I think that the younger generation, somewhat the 40s or 50s or no matter what, but have that's totally different way of thinking, and to invest in such a kind of things, might be still positive and a much positive way. Yeah, of course, and we have seen how the enthusiastic emotions and after the Milan Cortina d'Ampezzo Winter Olympics. And with Japanese has the medals, so much medals. So the most the largest medal, and then so I mean that so the younger generation can take some risks and in such a way. So the new way of thinking can create such a momentum, and I'm quite optimistic about that. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we wrap up the keynote luncheon part of our symposium at this point. So please join me for thanking Mr. Sugeno.
Thank you.
We now take a 20-minute break. We'll be back at 2 p.m. and afternoon panel will discuss more business forecast and so I think the U.S.-Japan relations that is based on the business relationship is the basis of U.S.-Japan relations. So a coffee stand is over there. So please relax, talk each other, find new friends. So please come back at 2 p.m. Now,